are back in the letter. So with all this Nibiru nonsense, or whatever the planet is called, behind us, hopefully we can get to a new regular schedule. And in case you're wondering, yes, it is as easy to blow up a planet as Frieza makes it look in DBZ. So, in other words, we can now progress with this. This is all stuff we've seen before in Zack's chapter. But the thing that's going to change is when Ash calls. Instead of calling Zack to her apartment where she was found dead, instead it's going to be somewhere else. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. It takes a few moments for everything to fall into place for my eyes to adjust to the light streaming into the room. Despite the pleasant chill the AC brings, my shirt is clinging tightly to me and my blanket a tangled mess around my throat. It's one of those nights again when sleep passes like a blink and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lift a hand to rip away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to the cool morning light, washing everything in subtle gray hues. At this hour, the entire city remains unstirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button twice or thrice just to catch those few precious extra minutes of sleep. But the persistent ringing makes it impossible now.
This better be good.
Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of the bed. The ringing still hasn't stopped as I fish the phone out, and Ash's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet.
Where are you?
So now that the buzzing's gone, I don't think I ever commented on this, but here we have yet another quantum suicide reference, and there's going to be another one when we get to the hospital.
Ashton is 6 in the morning. Sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet. What do you need?
Get your ass here, pronto.
Here? Hold on. Can't this wait until I'm actually awake?
No, Rebecca's not.
His voice hitches, and I fail to catch the last of what he's saying over the sun racket on the other side of the line. When the noise dies down, however, he does not continue. This abrupt change in his tone, the unexpected hesitance to speak puts me on the edge, and a different kind of anxiety clings to me. Something's wrong.
Here is where, Ash?
Ermengarde Memorial Hospital. ER. Becca's already there. I need to be off somewhere. Just get there. Please.
He drops the call before I can ask more. Maybe it's just me or my sleep-addled brain, but in that short moment, he sounds almost as if he's pleading. The thought alone does not ease the lump of dread gripping my insides, already heavy with fear. But despite the questions currently swimming inside my head, I waste no time in getting dressed. The rest of the day's plans and scheduled meetings effectively forgotten. Whatever lies ahead, I hope this ain't one of those times when my intuition is right. So here we have two more. I don't know if these are the Vogels or what their names actually are, but these are Quantum Suicide characters. The scent of hospitals never did grow on me. Too fresh, too medicinal, too sterile, and if I'm going to go down the more morbid train of thought, I'd say the air smells a little like blood and death if one pays closer attention. It's not entirely terrible in itself, just that the scent alone is enough to bring about old memories, mostly unpleasant. I'm not saying the recent birth of my niece is one, of course. That has been a good milestone for both me and my sister's family. It's simply unfortunate that the disinfectant has to be everywhere for something anyone wants to commit to memory.
Did Isabella ever feel this way when she visits her father?
The same odor assaults my senses as I make my way through the corridors in search of the emergency room. Recently renovated, according to one of the guards, I asked for directions. Considering how long the place has been around, I'm not surprised they already made plans to modernize. Gotta keep up with the times, they say, especially for a place where lives are saved. I don't have time to admire the new work, though. Soon the person I'm searching for comes into view. Rebecca's sitting on one of the few benches lining the hall, her head bowed and her shoulders rising and falling in a slow rhythm with her breathing. A pile of papers and various other personal effects have been arranged neatly beside her. And is that blood on those? I try to ignore the foreboding feeling it sends me as I reach for her and shake her awake.
Rebecca! I'm here. Wake up!
She opens her eyes at the second tap, along with a small yawn of her own. In the hospital's bright lighting, the dark circles under her eyes are more noticeable. Her voice is still rough with sleep when she greets me.
Zack, did Ash call you in?
Pretty much. Woke me up, actually. Said it was urgent. What happened?
He didn't tell you?
Not really. He just said I needed to be here. Is everything all right? It sounded pretty urgent when he called. The way that guy phrased it, I thought for sure you had gotten into an accident or something.
Rebecca shifts in her chair, smooths the hand over her face, and lets out a sigh, weighted enough with fatigue as she does so.
I'm sorry, Zachary. It's just been a long night. I don't really know how I'm supposed to break this to you. Ashton should be the one doing this, but...
The guy's busy again. No worries. You could tell me anything.
No, it's Isabella.
I'm afraid I can't quite follow, ma'am.
You weren't entirely wrong. But it wasn't me, obviously. Last night, she got into an accident. A car accident. She was hurt pretty bad, and they had to rush her here.
A lump has suddenly lodged itself to my throat, making it difficult to get the next words out.
How bad exactly are we talking about here, Rebecca?
Critical. But I don't know. I didn't see her myself. When I came here, she was already in the ER. Has been since last night. The doctors haven't said anything since then.
And Ash?
He's looking into the crash. He hasn't called again, but he promised to keep us updated.
Another heavy sigh comes out of her. Abruptly, she stands and starts pacing, her trembling fingers laced tightly together in front of her. She continues for a good minute, treading the hall in short, uneven steps before stopping and pressing both of her palms over her eyes, as if that alone will be enough to stave off her exhaustion.
I called her out, you know? I promised I'll treat her to dinner if she gets out of her room. I was only hoping it would cheer her up after the news. The one about her co-worker yesterday. And now, I should have just kept my mouth shut. If I did, then maybe she'd still be...
Hey, don't blame yourself. You had no idea this would happen. An accident is an accident. If there's someone you should hold responsible for this, it's that ass who ran her over. Ash will find that guy, don't worry.
I wish it were that easy. God, it's one after another, Zachary. And no one will tell me anything. I came in here asking for her, and all they said was, "She's in critical condition, ma'am." What are we supposed to do? I want to do something. I need to do something. But I can't. Not when she's still in there. Still fighting for her life.
I wish I can give her the answer she wants to hear right now. But that has always been the hardest part in circumstances like this. Always out of our control. Always out of our hands. The least I can say to her right now is, there's nothing we can do. Perhaps it just hasn't sunk in yet. Or it's my own uneasiness over what's happening. But what comes out of my mouth next is one thing I soon come to regret the second it's in the open.
We can't really do anything about it right now.
She stares, glares if we're looking for the right word at me, and like this, it doesn't require too much of my imagination to see the teacher in her. All of a sudden I'm 12 again, getting a reprimand for slacking off or not paying attention or doing something else in class.
There must be something, Zachary. We can't just...
Yet the way her voice falters tells a different kind of story. Rebecca's sharp, she knows. The moment she got here, she knows how much this whole thing teeters dangerously on the side of futile.
Look, Rebecca, I get you. I get how bad everything looks. I get how frustrated you are over this. But as much as I want to be useful, there's only a handful we can do right now. And if there's one thing situations like this has taught me, I think it's best to prepare for the worst.
I don't want to go there. Not yet.
I'm not saying we should. It's too early. I'd like to believe she'll make it through despite the odds, but these are pretty high odds. And you know what they say? The less you cling to it, the easier it'll be to accept. If she's just in case.
We let the silence fall and the words hang between us. Because the truth in those feels more tangible than what little hope we're both clinging to. Somewhere, far off the hall, I can almost hear the faint beeping of machines. Which one is Isabella's, I wonder? How is she doing? How long are we supposed to wait? Will she pull through? But it's always the waiting, isn't it? More than the fretting, it's always the long, excruciating hours that follows, blurring everything in between and slowing it down. By the point we both drank through our third cup of coffee, we've already lost track of the seconds, the minutes we've spent sitting here. There's no idle chatter between us, only companionship and what little support we could give each other. Which is not much, considering how long the two of us have known each other. Better for Ash to be here instead of me, or Isabella if only she didn't have a different battle to fight right now. Then again, we won't be here if she ain't. When a door finally creaks open and a voice calls for us, none of the world shifts back into the focus, the way I'm expecting it would. It's Rebecca who handles it with much patience and tact while I sit on the sides. It is her who faces the nurse, who listens to him, who nods, and wordlessly follows when he gestures for us to do so, all in spite of the weariness beating down on her. A different kind of burden now, after that talk. I'm almost too afraid to ask. Hang in there, Unlocked. She'd love this room. The moment the nurse opens the door and the soft late morning sunlight greets us from the sole window, I know she would. It might be a little inappropriate to think about now, but if she's well, Isabella will say the same thing. She has, after all, always favored the sun. Reminds her a little of home, she said. It reminds me a little of her, too, to be frank. In the background, the heart monitor blips faintly in a steady rhythm. She's not an easy sight to see, covered in bandages, a thick cast on her leg and neck, with all those wires and tubes attached to her. She looks nothing but frail like this. And still. Too still. She's never still, and yet here she is, her breathing too quiet for comfort, even as the ventilator pumps oxygen into her.
They have to keep monitoring her.
But she's okay now? We'll just have to wait?
Not exactly. She isn't out of the woods yet.
But alive, right? I mean, she's here. Even with all this stuff attached to her, she's gonna be fine, yeah?
She lets out a breath, probably the 13th one since I've joined her here, and flops unceremoniously onto a nearby chair. Carefully, she reaches up and gives Isabella's bandaged hand a light squeeze. I'm not sure if that's meant to be an encouragement for the patient or her. But for all her hesitance, I'm glad it's Rebecca who has to break whatever this news is. If this is Ashton, he'd probably drop that without any sort of preamble. For a detective looking to get answers, it works. For people waiting on the edge, it doesn't always.
I don't know. I honestly don't know anymore. The doctors, they had to put her in an induced coma. They had to after the seizures. It wasn't looking good. Something about the trauma and the head injury from the accident did that. I know I should have listened better. I'm sorry, Zachary. Half of it didn't even sink in. All I understood was she's on life support now, but they aren't expecting her to make it. Her chances aren't good from the start.
I know I said we should prepare for the worst, but that's still... Someone has got to tell them they can't just...
I did, all right? Already did. I told them to get their asses together. Even made a promise to try.
But you mentioned they still have to monitor her. That means they haven't given up on her, right?
They haven't. I insisted. But with how things are, they said she might never wake up. And if she ever does, she might not be the same anymore. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I was angry when I told them that, and it just came out of my mouth. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should have just let them...
You did the right thing, Rebecca.
You don't know that. What if she doesn't want this? Do you see all of these? Wires and tubes and bandages everywhere. She's barely herself, clinging to dear life as it is. She can't even hear us. Doesn't even know there are people here worried sick for her.
The point is she's still here. Don't beat yourself up over what ifs. This ain't over for her, aight? I've seen people recover from even worse. Have some faith in her.
I do have faith in her.
You know what? I think this is just a lack of sleep talking. You've been here since when? Last night? Go get some rest, Miss Gales.
But Isabella's...
I'll take care of her, don't you worry. We can do shifts if you want, but go home first. We'll talk about that later when you ain't looking like you're about to fall apart. If you keep going like this, you're the one who'll end up here next.
The rebuttal I'm expecting from her even suggesting the idea doesn't come. To my surprise, she merely chuckles.
This feels like a conversation I had with Isabella a few days ago. I said the exact same thing to her.
Then maybe it's a sign you should rest. Let me take over from now.
Maybe. But I'll keep that in mind. Are you sure you'll be fine alone? I'll come back this evening. So if you need anything picked up, I can get it for you.
Nah, no problem on that front. Besides, if I do need something, my apartment's just a few blocks away. Skip and a hop, that's all I need. Focus on getting some sleep. Let me take care of this for a few hours. Do it for everyone's sake, hmm?
Will do. Thanks, Zachary. If something changes with her, promise me you'll call.
You'll be the first one to know, ma'am. Well, if it comes to that. I hope the news I bring will be better than the one we got this morning. Crazy thing having to wake up to this.
I hope so too. I'll see you later.
Rebecca manages a weak smile before turning and heading out of the room. When the door clicks shut behind her, it does so with little finality. Like saying this won't be the last, that our stay here won't be as brief as we're all hoping. Beside me, the beeping from the machines remain unceasing. The distinct familiar scent pervading the room persists as it wraps itself into the room's only occupants. Altogether, a different memory burns itself in my mind. Okay, so this is actually new. There is something personal in the melody slowly threading itself into my consciousness. A hum, pleasant in every note, lingers in the air and carries with every shift. It reminds me of our room. Of a little place my sister and I once called home, and of a promise made several springs ago, back when our walls are bare and everything's still foreign and new. The soft rustling wakes me long before I can fully remember. Someone is speaking in the room. In hushed whispers, muttering words like a secret not meant for my ears to hear.
This is stupid.
Takes a little while for the recognition to sink in and remind myself where I am. But sure enough, when I shift my gaze up, Ashton's there, leaning casually against the edge of the bed, arms folded across his chest, while sporting a pensive expression on his face. I'd say it's close to wistful, but this is Ash. And with the room's lights dimmed down, one really can't tell.
Hey, Ash.
If my sudden movement surprised him, it only shows in the slight lifting of his eyebrows before he acknowledges me with a small nod.
How long have you been here?
Just came in a few seconds ago.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you.
Figures. It's not a problem. You probably need to rest anyway.
You're the one talking. You look like shit.
So I've been told.
Seriously, how long have you been up?
18, 20 hours or so? It doesn't matter. I'll get some shut-eye later. Where's Rebecca?
I sent her home early, but she'll be back too.
Both of us turn just in time to see Rebecca ease the door open and step inside. She's brought a traveling bag with her, and from the way she transfers its load to her other hand, it's heavy enough for things for maybe 2 or so days worth of sleeping out. I don't know what to say to that, quite frankly. Or if I'm even supposed to question her about it. Ashton, no doubt, has a remark or two about it, but before any of us could comment, she raises a hand to stop us.
It's not mine.
3 words, and they are all telling enough. Just like that, an awkward silence descends in the room. All of a sudden, just the mention of her has become some sort of a taboo between us. Funny, when she's just lying a few inches away from us. God knows if she's even aware of us. Even in this quiet, I can hear her laughing. We're making a big deal out of this, she'll say. It isn't anyone's fault, but it's obvious that one way or another, each of us hold our own selves responsible for what happened, however irrational that sounds. Plenty of what-ifs, should-haves, and could-haves going around. It's almost stifling.
Always prepared, ain't you?
I just packed what she'll be needing for a few days. I figured it'll be easier for me to bring her things since I live next door. Go take a break now, Zachary. I'll stay with her until tomorrow when her aunt gets here. She's flying over from the other side of the country. Heard she had to file a leave to get here as soon as possible. Oh, what a mess all of this is.
Don't you have class tomorrow? You sure about that?
I can always call for a leave, too. I've got plenty, since I rarely ever use those. Someone has to stay here after...
No, I'll take it from here.
Not sure if you noticed her eyes. It's not that his offer is any way unexpected. It's not even in the way he delivers it. Ash may seem distant to other people, rude to some, downright embarrassing to a few, but to those he keeps close, I'm positive he'll never hesitate to show some willingness to help. He cares. He really does. Simply in his own, unorthodox way. I'm sure Rebecca's aware of this too, more than anyone. But the tight expression on her face, her strained grip on the bag, and the stiff line on her shoulder suggest a different kind of understanding. Even in the sharp, biting tone her voice takes, despite the meaning in her words.
You don't have to do that. Zachary and I can handle this for a few days.
Both of you already had your turn with this. It wouldn't hurt to have another person helping out.
This isn't some sort of a competition, Ash. We're doing this because someone has to be here for her.
I'm not making this one. I just volunteered, didn't I?
Don't you have an investigation to finish?
And Zach has freelance gigs in line for the next few days. You have students to teach. Don't push it, Becca. All three of us have things to take care of on our own, but between us, it should be easier to find some time to...
Fine. Good.
Her voice is almost too quiet, like the calm on the eve of a brewing storm.
Do what you want.
She doesn't give him a chance to get another word in. In 3 steps, she closes the distance between them and hands him the bag, with a little more force than necessary, in my opinion. Then, with nothing more than a sharp glare at him, she marches out the door. Maybe it's just me, but in the brief instance our eyes meet, hiding behind that flash of anger is... hurt. Did something happen when I wasn't looking? Certainly doesn't seem that way from the way Ash is acting.
You go ahead, Zach. I'll take over for now.
You sure this is fine?
Yeah, sure. It's not like this is a hard task. I'll probably get more sleep here than if I stay at the precinct or in my car. I'll call when something changes with Isabella, if that's what you're concerned about.
You ain't worried?
About what?
I'd say Rebecca, but he doesn't seem to have noticed earlier's exchange. Regardless, I'm not the kind of person who finds joy in prying, and it's certainly none of my business. On top of that, we have Isabella here bedridden. Rebecca's right. It's one problem after another, and to be truthful, I kinda want to ask for a little breathing room already. But that ain't how it always goes, ain't it?
This, everything, the accident. I don't know. You tell me. You were there, weren't you?
That gives him a pause, his hand stopping short of placing the bag on the table. Judging by the conflicted look on his face, he doesn't know how to respond to that. Yet.
About this... I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I'll find out myself who did this and make sure that bastard gets his just desserts.
He. So you do have an idea who?
Vaguely, but nothing conclusive yet. I'd rather not say anything until we've got everything sorted out. It's a huge mess. This and that other case. It might even be related for all we know. Thinking about it gives me a headache.
He lifts a hand and pinches the bridge of his nose. His eyes are squeezed tight in what's perhaps a struggle not to overthink. Or keep whatever frustration he feels at a considerable distance, preferably far enough so he can think clearly. Yet when he is like this, it's better to leave him alone with his thoughts. But as I'm about to pull the door open, ready to take my leave, he calls out.
Do me a favor, Zach. Make sure you keep away from the rights this time. Tell Rebecca the same thing.
The name rings a bell, though at present I can't recall where I've heard it recently. Nevertheless, I nod, if only to give him some peace of mind. This guy already has enough on his plate.
I'll remember that. See you later.
If you catch up to Becca, make sure she gets home safe.
Will do. Go get some sleep yourself.
I throw him one last look, even though at this point I'm not sure what I'm searching for is in his face. Reassurance? Some sort of encouragement or proof that everything will be alright. I won't dare ask any more. Now when he's doing this, looking forlorn, like as if he's failed a lot of people. One person in particular. With one last wave, I close the door behind me, leaving wishes of hope and a whole slew of unspoken remorse and concerns in the room. My apartment is more than a welcome sight after everything. Although it's small and begs for a little cleaning and repair, it is at the end of the day the closest I have to a respite. Sure, my sister would have a thing or two to say about the mess every time she visits, but it's still home to me. Oh, hell no. Wait a second. Okay, we're starting to converge again. I was thinking, how long is this branch going to go out? Yeah, we'll be back on the main track in a little bit. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind me, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. Most of them schedules, lists, and tasks for the next few days. Something to keep me busy while I sort things out. Sort myself out. And now with what happened to Isabella, something to temporarily take my mind off things. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashen's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. So we're gonna speed through this. So right here I just want to see which route have I not really fully explored. So if you show it to Ash, that puts you on the professor's route. Meanwhile, if we show this to Hannah, there's a few nodes over here we haven't touched. I'm a friend of Hannah. Crib would make a good gift. Show pictures. I think there's more to be gained by meeting with the professor. It won't change what happened to Isabella, but she certainly won't wish for anything to happen to us either. While Luxembourg is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs coming from the people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and a polite nod. Some, though, look a little worse for wear, like the receptionist who looked at me with much disdain the moment I arrived. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashen's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, Never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with. They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved.
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the 4th one yesterday. Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds before sighing heavily. There aren't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement. Although underneath all that, there's something else too. Hiding subtly in the dark circles under his eyes, some posture and partly unkempt appearance.
Sorry, I haven't gotten a chance to check any of my messages yet. I was looking up something.
You sure you can still step out like that?
Yeah, no problem. I need to get out anyway. What are you doing here in the first place?
Well, I was hoping you could check something for me, but you don't appear to be...
He stops me with a tap on my shoulder, walks past me straight to the door, and gestures with his head towards their very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after saying the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. As expected, he takes a seat in the farthest corner of the cafe, a good way from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and goes. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. Finding no this is lunch he invited me to, I'd automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of the many habits I've gotten used to. Ash letting out long-drawn yawns every few minutes, however, is a new thing. Even as food arrives minutes later, he stays distracted. His eyes distant, focused at some point on the table, and a frown creasing his eyebrows as if in deep thought. This, while I'm left to grapple with a decent thing to talk about over the plate of vegetable quiche, his odd choice of cake for lunch, and the hubbub surrounding the two of us. Small talk has never been my strong point, and against everything sensible and wise in the world, I blurt out the first thing that pops in my head.
Any news about Bella's condition?
He pauses, the fork still halfway to his mouth. Ash is far from the most open person in the world. Even to us, the people he's already let see past the cool and distant persona, there are some things he keeps safely tucked away to himself. In that one unguarded second, though, a pained expression shoots across his features, one he doesn't bother hiding under his usual mask of detachment. I'm not sure why. Of all things happening right now, I find that alone unnerving.
No change since I left yesterday. Rebecca visited last night. Said something about an aunt taking things from here. I didn't hear most of it. I was needed back at the precinct. But I'll probably drop by again later to see if I can help.
I think it's the one who helped to get the job at BRC.
Really? I only just found out. I thought Isabella was living alone all this time. Well, I assume since Becca is her emergency contact.
She is living alone, technically. Her aunt's working pretty far from here. She only mentioned her in passing before. Can't very well help their family when her aunt has her own set of mouths to feed. Bella had to be the one to take the job. Something like that. And it ain't even like she'd want someone else to do the work. If she can, she'll do it herself.
She's stubborn, that's what she is.
You shouldn't talk.
He gives a non-committal hum and returns to his food. He hasn't even taken a bite when he lets out another yawn. This time I really have to ask. When was the last time you slept?
Ash, when was the last time you slept?
There shouldn't be any need to ask him about this. In fact, I never have to. More than anyone, he knows his own limits. Now the same person who once told me how important a sound and alert mind in his line of work appears dead on his feet. They're missing a verb right there. To be fair, Ash does think about it for several seconds before shrugging on one shoulder and digging the fork into his food.
I took a short nap in the break room.
For more than 4 hours, dude. Not a nap.
A few days ago? I don't remember. I got some sleep back at the hospital, though. Should be good.
That was 2 days ago.
He glances at me for a moment. He's aware I'm right. But when he proceeds to shove more food into his mouth, more forceful than necessary, I know he's not going to concede. I can't begin to see where the sudden pig-headed thinking is coming from. His tone is quiet when I speak again, though, barely rising above the din of the coffee shop, but the resolution in it is deafening enough.
It doesn't matter. We could be in danger right now and not even know it. I need to get this mess sorted before anything else happens.
Taking a day off wouldn't hurt.
His fork clings loud enough against the plate for the sound to linger awkwardly between us.
Are you kidding me? While the one who ran her over is still out there?
They left her lying in the road, bleeding, almost half dead. Now she's stuck in some damn hospital and may never wake up. I don't think so, Zach.
Are things really that bad?
You're looking at me right now. What do you think?
Cut back on the sarcasm, Ash. I really want to know what's happening here.
Ash drags both of his hands down his face and lets out a huff, weighted with every frustration he's carrying in him. For an instant, he opens his mouth to say something, probably to argue, but hastily decides against it.
Traffic cams were useless. And those were supposed to be high def to begin with. Damn, huge waste of taxpayers' money when we can't even use it when we need it. The people at Tech have been at it since we got hold of the footage, and all they managed to salvage with a scant few seconds before she crossed the road. How does that help?
Well, there must be some use in that alone. Like, maybe someone pushed her?
There was no one else. She just stopped right in the middle of the road. Just right in the fucking middle. It's like there was something there that prevented her from crossing. I just don't know what. Zach, Isabella's not that stupid. There was something there. That's what made her stop, and the traffic cams didn't catch it. Something.
Abruptly, he trails off and gapes at me with wide eyes as if something has snapped properly back into place inside his mind.
Or someone. Someone was there.
Actually, if we're going to talk about someone, maybe this has something to do with it as well.
The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them, all of it reprints the same thing, Mizrai's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't even ease as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah, right?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'd likely have already dug up every imaginable dirt on them, including family history.
You never mentioned you got word from them.
Yesterday, yeah. That's just a small feature from a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose and pinches it, like the action alone will help grant him all the patience in the world to continue this conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth. These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you.
You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this, and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hana.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hana? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the right missus?
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is clear as day. It hits a nerve in me somehow, more than that tone usually does. That's not the point here. Of all the things I said, my connection to the rights is the first thing he points out. As much as I want to keep my own annoyance at bay, I can't stop it from seeping into my voice.
That's completely beside the point here, Ash.
I warned you, Zach.
I get it, all right? But you can't just expect me to turn it down after I made a commitment to a client. I've got to put food on my table.
I didn't say you shouldn't, but you should not be messing with them.
I wasn't messing with them.
And this isn't?
He waves the photos in front of me before dropping the pile on the table with a loud smack. I don't need to look to know if we've already attracted some attention from the lunchtime crowd. Besides, turning away from him feels almost the same as admitting he's right. There are things more important than this damn case right now. I wish he'd see that.
It was a job, and that ain't how these photos were intended to come out. You think I'd go out of my way just to edit something like this? There's something weird going on here.
And you think Luke Wright will see it that way? You think the Wright missus will find it amusing?
I did not do this for my amusement, Ash. People's lives might be at stake here.
If you understood that in the first place, we wouldn't be having this stupid talk. Luke fucking Wright is a dangerous man, Zach. Keep hanging around them and you'll find yourself burnt to a crisp in your apartment or floating down a river 3 days later. This case is...
Will you stop talking about the damn case for once and just listen to me? Why do you think Isabella's...
Don't you dare bring her into this. We're talking about you and this stupid...
Oh, of course you don't want to talk about it. You can't figure out the bastard who did it because of your own fucking incompetence.
Every expression drains from his face as soon as the words are out of my mouth. They've hit their mark. Each utterance scathes, sharp with nothing but anger and the truth. Yet they are also things I won't typically say out loud in good company, and rather ease people into it before letting it fall. Almost immediately, a wave of regret washes over me.
Ash, dude, that ain't what I meant to...
You said enough, Zach.
Without another word, he stands, his chair scraping loudly against the floor, all while my brain races to find something to fix this. Ours ain't a fragile friendship by any means. I like to think we've gone past the stage when we find everything the other says insulting. But there are times when letters and phrases alone can cut deeper than any blade. Mine might even leave a scar. He doesn't let me, however. Instead, he sets a card in front of me. The name is familiar, but amidst the cloud of remorse swirling in my head, I can't bring myself to recall where I've seen it.
You shouldn't be running blind. Call this guy. He'll be less inclined to shout at you. Might even talk some sense into you.
I don't see his face when he leaves, and it's only when the store's bell chimes again do I breathe. So right here's the meeting with the professor, obviously. Get to speed through that. There were no actual choices to be made or anything. So I don't know what, if anything else, is going to differ here. So right here's when he meets Kylie. Never found out if she's the other Kickstarter character. I never did bother turning him away from the first time to begin with. Moreover, I said things I shouldn't have the other day. Gotta straighten that one out before it blows up in our faces.
Ash, how many times do I have to tell you not to call me Z-Man? And stop breaking into my apartment! I'll call the cops on you, but doing that feels like a joke in itself because you are one.
I didn't. You gave me a key the last time I did that, remember?
After the last one you broke, I can't keep replacing the knob just because you think it'd be amusing to lockpick the hell out of it. And I know I said something bad the last time. I'm really sorry about that.
In an instant he sits up, every trace of amusement gone from his face. He clasps his hand in front of him and he leans forward. A minuscule gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression on him tells a different story altogether.
It's fine. You had a point back then.
Wait, what? Did I just hear you say that?
I'm not kidding, Zach. Speaking of the other day, did you meet with Andrew last time?
Yeah, at the library. He was,
What did he say about the photographs?
Huh? Oh, there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen, so that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
I paused, glancing at him skeptically. I don't know where the sudden curiosity is coming from. But if Ashton, calm, cool, collected, always logical Ashton, takes interest in this, something or someone must have fucked shit up somewhere. Or the world is ending. Don't worry, that crisis has been averted, Zach. Seconds pass. The apocalypse I'm expecting to go along with it doesn't arrive, however.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me. But it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
You're not the only one stuck in this.
You ain't the only one stuck in this mess, you know.
I never want to wake up to that kind of thing again. Finding out one of my friends was left for dead in the middle of the street.
So right here is the QuickTime event, I believe, when we have to play Fatal Frame. Or Dread Out if you prefer the indie scene. So right there we got to see the little ominous shadow on Luke. And now, since in order for this to work, everyone must die. Let's look into it. So now Zach is the, what's it, the Anselm?
You've got to stop this! We can't help you this way!
Yeah, what's his... I forgot what his killer name is called. This is driving me crazy right now. It's Anselm something, I think. It's not Strangler. So if you say nothing never... Or wait. This is wrong, I think.
We're both drunk.
So that actually causes him to improve. Interesting. Yeah, we're not even going to find out this video because I don't think they're even going to touch Zach in any way, shape, or form. Didn't expect to hear such a question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. She's asking about the suppliers for art. Despite the little accident she had, now she just looks too young, too nervous, unsure of herself. I would have believed if she hadn't introduced herself the way she is at the moment. Watch her now, she actually looks like she still might be in college. acts like it too. What brought this on? It's understandable. Very few people make it big in the art world. Sooner she accepts it, the better. So yeah, we're going to knock out Marianne's chapter, and then we're going to stop. I'm going to have to look at the videos offhand to find out what that killer... Ansem Butcher, I think. So we'll check it out for the jump scare, because why not? So where's Mrs. Wright? So here you have to sacrifice affection for one of them. We can compromise. Hannah's gonna hit her guts before it's all said and done. Stick to the ground floor with Luke.
I don't see why you would, though, Mint. Nothing really happened between us.
Well, I wasn't looking for whiskey. I was just going around to do my inspection. Thought it needed a push, just in case the door was stuck and actually needed repairs.
So you really are some fancy interior designer, huh? Had you told me you were one, I would have called you a piss taker. I figured you'd be, I don't know, an assistant going for a drink after a week with a tosser of a boss.
I'm just glad you thought me any sort of professional with how ossified I was. I must have not looked the part, so I understand your surprise.
He doesn't offer
At
way to
first
retort.
glance, Hana didn't look like some fancy finance manager when I first met her either. She was the pretty daughter of this rich, powerful man. When she was introduced, they told me that she was not there as the man's daughter, but as a part of management. I thought it dubious. All the beautiful women I knew before her, they used their looks to get what they want. And there she was, with all that she could ever need in life. And yet she works hard to earn her keep.
It sounds like you admire her.
Hearing that too, I can't help but feel admiration for Mrs. Wright.
You enjoy your job, don't you, Mint?
It helps me earn my keep, as you would put it. A bit strange to say out loud, but it gives me purpose as well.
Do you think then that, maybe, Hana would want to go back to being a working person?
Taking it back at his question, I wait for further clarification. What makes him ask this? And why me of all people, right? But I see that no explanation is coming, I think. So I think asking her would probably make the relationship go up.
Shouldn't you be asking her this? Isn't her opinion much more important than that of someone you just met in a pub a few nights ago?
You're a woman, and I figured you might know more. I mean, people are always saying that women are fulfilled by having husbands and having a good home. But then I see ones like you who look happy having jobs. Maybe she's like you, and having a job would be better for her.
Just because I'm a woman? You do know we don't all think the same way. But I don't know, I'm not married or anything, but this shouldn't be a complicated matter. She's your wife for how many years? Talk to her. Ask her what she wants. Don't you guys talk during supper or something?
That gets him thinking. Or at least it looks like it does.
Well, I should let you get back to work. Thanks for talking with me, I suppose.
Right. But anything goes awry if you take my advice. Just remember that I'm not some marriage counselor. So take it with a grain of salt.
My marriage goes down the shitter, I'll sue you. Noted.
Wait, that's not...
Too late. He takes a step back into the music room, shuts the door, and leaves me there looking gobsmacked. He wasn't serious, was he? That man, I don't understand him at all. One moment he's this huge ass, and then he's this person the next.
Odd guy. Still needs a good arse kicking if you ask me.
And for this one,
Hey, are you alright there, Whiskey? You're looking like you need a serious...
so I wonder how high you can get his affection on your stint as Marianne.
I take it the investigation isn't going well.
When does it ever? But that's not the problem. No, it's...
So this might be different because she has a higher opinion of him.
Is this about that hit and run from yesterday's morning news? I saw it. I just didn't know if it was the same girl you're always groaning on about. But this just proves it, doesn't it? You don't have a drink.
She might never wake up, G. And we can't find the son of a bitch that thought it was alright just to leave her there in the road.
Can't you just run plates nowadays? I mean, I just got a ticket for a busted taillight the other day, and they were on that quicker than you can say Bob's your uncle.
The footage is a mess for some reason, and the tech guys are trying to clean it up, which just skeeves me off, you know. Those things are HD traffic and security cams. They haven't failed before.
And you're thinking there's something foul afoot, is that it?
So the thing about the cameras is, even still, it shouldn't be that difficult to find out, or at least narrow down to a small group which ones it is. So Britain possesses some of the most wired cities in the world. And even if they can't use that one traffic camera, if they can tell what side Isabella was hit from, they could actually work their way backwards and see what cars are actually on that road headed down that direction. And since, depending on that time of night, you may have either a small pool or a single individual, and that will basically fill you in on who did it. So I'm not entirely sure why they didn't do that, since odds are it's not all of the cameras that are having that trouble. Even if there's just one, you still have that to fall back on. But maybe that's just me, I don't know. Okay, to wrap things up, we hit stay. And that's the end of Marianne. So that gives us the memory fragment, puts us on track for Rebecca. So everyone is dead up until now. But we'll be picking up Rebecca next time, and I want to try to push her and Ash. Like, is there a way to actually start this positive for her, I wonder? So yeah, we're going to try to get the whole love confession goodbye. But that's a topic for another time. I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.